ask questions or make it personal to you, whatever, And I told Jamie before, I'll give everybody my email address if you want to send me images or something like that. It's just Bovat, Bovat, photo art at AOL because I'm AOL because I'm old. Uh, and if you want to send me an image later or any questions, I'm on Facebook all the time too. On the Ken Bovat and photo art by Ken Bovat and Ken Bovat photography. There's three different pages. Ken, Bo Ken Bovat photography page is mostly my sports stuff. Um, but you can look at anything and have any questions about anything. Whatever I can help you with, that's good. All right. Um, so let's start. I'm gonna start sharing my screen, I guess. We did that before and it worked. Hopefully it does again. So where do we want? How about let's start with nope. What I want to start with is the 12 elements. That's a good way to start. Let's just talk about those first. I mean, you've all probably heard about them. Open them all up. I'm doing everything today on Photoshop. I used to do it in Lightroom, but Photoshop's kind of neat. This is my last one. I can start with this. Let's talk about looking at images and talking about them. The act of creating art is a personal thing. So is the act of viewing art. So let's get that straight. There's art of looking at it from both perspectives. So that means whoever you are, your art can be great. All depends on how you look at it. Your image is a story. And I'll put down here, it might be one that you never knew you were telling. And this came out, these are quotes that I copied from someplace. I didn't really understand them, but as I get into photography more and more things came out. And the one about it's a story you might never knew you were telling. I've entered images and had the judges go on and on and on about what the image meant, and I never saw that. I made it, and it's crazy. So it's important, I think, to understand that everybody can look at the same image totally different. Um, and one of the things we want to do today is start having you look at your images differently. So I'm going to show you some techniques later and some of the things that I do with my own images to help you look at your images maybe in a different way so you can analyze them without having judges come in all the time, all right. One of the 12 elements is technique. And your technique is how you choose to execute all the things that you know and all the things you do. That's your technique. Everybody has mastered the technique in different ways and on different levels. Some people just starting in have a very unique technique and they go, wow, look at that. And that's all part of it too. Lighting and colors on your presentation, I think, is very important as far as the technique. Now, certainly we can go on forever talking about all these type of things. And again, if anybody has anything to add or want to add, don't be afraid to speak in. We're a small group, so um, sometimes one thing leads to another can be interesting. So go for it. Technical excellence. Um, this is an important part of your image, whether you like it or not. Um, if you're really a very artistic type of photographer, or an artist, this type of thing can really drive you nuts because you come up with these beautiful images and somebody goes, "Oh, but this technically is not correct." And sometimes it's like, who cares if it is correct or not? But as a professional photographer, it's important that we are somewhat technical correct in making our images, not just for print competition, but also for our clients as well. We want to have that technical excellence there, um, which drives me nuts. I worked a lot on perfecting my technical excellence, but now as I'm older, I see a lot of the younger people coming in and have no idea about anything, but yeah, they're selling prints, um, and that's all part of it. So. Um, Subject matter. This is another unfortunate thing about print competition is your subject matter. Um, if you photograph a little girl and you try and tell a story about that little girl, you need that little girl's expression and face to be the right for the story that you are telling. Uh, and this messes up a lot of people when they use their own kids for photographs. They see one thing in their child, but they're not open to how other people see their own child. So you have to be very careful about that and see everything with an open mind and see subjects how other people see them too. There's a whole language going on um, in images, and it's important that we all understand that language and how to communicate that language with um, images as well as with words. As you can tell, as I'm talking and stammering here, I'm better at communicating with images sometimes than I am with words. But everybody has their own talents and own weaknesses and strengths. Uh, Style. When the subject matter and style come together in an appropriate manner, the image becomes spectacular. Um, and it's the whole thing is getting all the things together uh, with your with the lighting and all the things you do. You bring it all together in your own style, and if you could come up with the image with that, it always becomes better. Okay, we all can have a light in our studio, but everybody uses it different. And oh, I'm on the wrong thing here. Let me go over there. Um, all right, any questions yet? Here's nothing about storytelling. I talk a lot about storytelling. I'm really big on that. I think every image tells a story. Even my clients, my everyday high school senior picture, I always try, we're telling a story about who you are. We have to get everything together right. What color clothing you wear, what color background we use, what color light, what kind of lighting, how harsh it is, how flat it is. All that are tools to make the story to say one thing or another. So I really very strongly believe in the storytelling element of any image. And I think that's where a lot of us go wrong. We tell the wrong story with the wrong colors, the wrong lighting. Presentation. Uh, Presentation, unfortunately, is an important part of the 12 elements. So we had to present that image with a keystroke, however you want to do it. Just a plain old image sometimes is not good enough. We have to present it in a certain way. It's just not in a border either. It's all things involved uh, in your image. Every little teeny speck, every little square inch of your image has to be taken, addressed, and looked at. Mm. Lighting, I think this is one of the most important things. Um, One of the things that they don't tell you about this is shadows. Shadows can be an important part of any image, and how that shadow defines the image can be just as important as the lighting sometimes. But the lighting causes the shadow, so that's it's all about that. But let's not overlook the shadows, what the shadows say, and how they can work for your image or against your image. And certainly what it says here, light makes dimension and shape. And a lot of images fall short because they don't have dimension and shape. Images on the screen is two-dimensional and life is three-dimensional. With lighting, we have that ability to make it look more three-dimensional. And that's really what we're trying to do, make it look as three-dimensional as much as possible with lighting, and that's what brings it to life. Impact. This is an important thing for, I think, competition more than your everyday type of thing. 'Cause sometimes your high school senior portrait, you don't have a high impact sometimes. Um, Sometimes a low impact image can be very sellable. But for image competition, when you have 20 people entering a head and shoulder photograph, what's going to make yours better is impact. So impact can be an extremely important part of image competition. We are kind of talking about image competition today too. That's why I'm really pushing that point more. However, I do refer to everyday work as well a lot because I think it's all connected. What we talked about before is that when I became a better photographer for competition, I also became a better photographer for my clients. And I have a lot of clients come to me now because of what I can do that other people cannot do. And that some of it's just lighting, the simple lighting that you know, some people understand the difference. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who don't, but we have to market to the people that do. Creativity. This is really important. Image or original ideas, which it's hard to do because like everything has been done. It seems like sometimes, so it's hard to come up with something different. But sometimes just go out and just start working and do it. It just comes. Um, there are certain things you can do to help creativity. Um, we'll get this in the color psychology part of it. Green in a green environment, so you go outside, everything's all green, you tend to be more creative in that environment. In the morning when I get ready in the bathroom, I do my best thinking, and I painted my bathroom green, and that helps with that. It sounds crazy, but that's what I do. But green in your environment does help with your creativity. So if you have a problem with your creativity, go outside and have in a place where everything is green. Not just, you have to make sure that's go to a golf course, a lot of greens, and just concentrate put yourself in a green environment, and uh, it will help you think clear. Composition. Good composition creates a viewer's attention and directs you where the artist wants it to be. And this is important. Um, you should be in control of every image on how a person looks at it. Um, and you're in control of how you want the eye to flow through the image and drop and land where you want it to be. Um, if you do not have complete control of it and the viewer goes through the composition and go and sees other things, that's when your image comes in competition. That's when it becomes below an 80. Because there's this visual things that's pulling your eye away from where as the judge sometimes looking at it, what the uh, maker is trying to do. And you also can see how they're just not doing it because there's certain things in the composition that hasn't been addressed properly. And that's one of the things we want to maybe talk about today on techniques on how to do that. Would that sound like fun? Yay! Right. Color balance. Color balance is like uh, not having a yellow cast or a cyan cast and all that, the technical side of it. Also, the color balances too is what colors relate to other colors, how they come together and how they communicate within your image. And technically, I'm not so up on if there's slightly tints of cyan in the image. There are judges like that. I'm more on the side of how the color communicates to you and if the balance is the proper color balance for the story that you're trying to tell. Makes any sense? Yeah. All right. One more. Hey. The center of interest. Where do you want the viewer's attention to be focused? In a lot of the image competitions, sometimes they just lack a center of interest. And this probably is more true for scenic photographs. You get a nice, beautiful, pleasant view, but yet there's no really strong center of interest. And that kind of goes along with the impact um, and all that with it. Okay. So that's just, we went kind of through the um, 12 elements of the image quickly there. I left a lot out because I want to spend all day on this. I think most of you are exposed to it. What I try to do is maybe come up with a couple of different ways of looking at those 12 elements so that you start thinking about some things a little bit differently. And we'll give you a heads up on your next competition. All right. Any questions there before I go on, or you're all set?
It's awesome.
So far, so good, huh?
You're doing great.
All right. Let's get into. I'm losing my voice already. Got a drink. It's just iced tea. It's not,
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
uh, let's talk a little bit more about color and how color relates. I think um, one of the biggest things to help me in photo competition was my background in color and color psychology and how the colors affect the image. And my study of that has become kind of fun, and I really enjoy it. And that I look back, my whole life has been that way. Um, I've always had an eye for it, an understanding of it. So I started researching it more and more, and I found different color theories. Actually, there's like 436 different color theories. Um, the one I'm showing today is one that was used a lot in Manhattan back in the 60s and 70s for the all the advertising agencies were really big on this type of color theory for their advertisements to sell, and I'm seeing a trend back to that a little bit on some things. Um, yeah, so on this color theory, there are 9 types of color composition, and I really believe that if one of your images falls directly, strongly, straight into one of these 9 types of color compositions, your image will always do better. I don't care if it's an artist image or whatever, the color psychology of how the colors come together helps bring your image to a higher level. Let me come back up to here. Okay, I'll just put these little layers. Okay, the first type of image we're going to talk about is called strong color composition. When we're dealing with strong color composition, we're dealing with the 3 primary colors and green, or some places call them all the primary colors. They consider green as one of the primary colors. So it's red, yellow, and blue, which those are the real primary colors because you mix all those together, you come up with all the other colors if you're using additive, um, if you're like mixing with paints. Since green is so dominant in this type of thing, green is also considered one of the strong colors. See, bright primary colors. Always creates a bold feeling and a carnival mood. So if you're doing a family portrait and everybody comes in a different primary color, which they all like to do, because they all say, oh yeah, this is going to be pretty by color, it's going to be a very bold family and it's going to always give a carnival mood. Um, and for me, if I was photographing a bunch of clowns in a carnival, I think the carnival mood would be perfect for them. But most families I do, I try to avoid the carnival mood and try to get them into all the same color or complementary colors. If that makes any sense. Here is a image. I think, I might have taken this. No, this is taken. It's in Vermont. No, this is taken in Maine. Um, just came across all these different colors, and it's a reflection. So if you look at the bottom, it's just I just flipped it down, um, which makes it simple, and that's a technique. But all the bold colors in this, and this is a mirror image done several years ago. Here's another mirror image I did using bold colors. These are just M&Ms. Um, and I did this with film, so that was not done digitally. So it took 5 pounds of M&Ms to create this. And I just took a paintbrush and I just hand painted with paints on the paintbrush to match the colors here. So it wasn't done in Photoshop, it was all done by hand. The next type of color composition we want to talk about is called color contrast. That's when we're working with two primary colors together. And every two primary color together will give a different feeling and tell a different story. Ooh, okay. So red and blue together always gives a feeling of movement. And this is used a lot in advertisement because you have a red speedboat on blue water or a red car in blue sky. Whenever you want the image to feel like it's moving, red and blue together will always generate that feeling. Where red and blue together would always create tension. So if you want to have something more dynamic, that's when you use that. However, when I do like engagement colors and one person wants to wear blue, one wants to wear yellow, I try to explain to them this creates tension between the two of you. Do you hate each other and you just happen to be engaged, or do you want to tell the story about you that you really belong together? Do you know? Um, so the understanding how colors work, it can be very helpful in your everyday life as well as your image competition life. Here's something in nature. The red and blue creates tension. This gets the bumblebees excited and gets them to work and makes pollination. That's how they survive. Here is a photograph I took in St. Thomas, and this is a candid shot. I was actually with another photographer. I was pretending to photograph this other photographer, and kind of was photographing him at the same time because I didn't want him to know that I was photographing him, because he just almost beat someone else up for trying to take his picture, and I didn't want to be involved in that. So I was a little bit more clever about my approach. But he was just sitting out, hanging out there, smoking, whatever. and his placement and everything just worked out really nice. It was in bright sunlight. You see the harsh shadow. However, that his type of skin tone handled the bright contrasty light very well. And
Can I ask
his
a question regarding that image? Did you color the background at all, or was that?
no, that's what it was. Yep.
So he had the exact color match on his shirt as well.
Well, some of this was green, and I add a little bit more blue to this. Some of this was green and yellow, and I made it blue and yellow
Yeah, just
on his shirt. The only thing I changed was was the green. I took the green out of his shirt and made
Yeah.
it. See, it's a little bit blue green right there, but it was but everything else was exactly the way it was.
Wow, great shot.
And you'll go, oh well, you know, just
Yeah.
and the thing is walking along, you look, and, you know, I'm on vacation. I'm taking photographs. I'm looking for things like this, all the type of thing. And once you understand, you know, have my background in color, oh wow, I saw the color right away. I saw the possibilities right away for oh, there's a mirror image, click, you know. And his shirt was a little bit on the green side, so I just changed it. So it's only two colors. If I left it green, it would not say the same story. I only want two colors, and that gave it strength. That gave the tension. The green added into it goes into more of the carnival mode, which is a happier fun. You know, I don't want that. You want that here. You want the tension, and that's what made this one. This was the loan image too, I think. Back when they had loans, now it's something else. Here's another nature. This is a mirror image, just straightforward, but understanding the simple color.
For those,
Simple-
Ken, can you go through what a mirror image means for those who don't know?
well, um, well, there's a scoring thing where the score to 1 to 180 or above would be a mirror image. They had, well, actually 80 to 84 is deserving of a merit. So anything that scores 80 or above is deserving of a merit. They've changed that a little bit now on the MRI. It's either there's four categories: a merit, um, better than a merit, a potential merit, and not a merit at all. There's no chance, merit, and what used to be loan, but now it's called something else. So yeah, so after your intention is to try to get that 80 or that mirror image, which is considered an image that is professionally well done, follows the 12 elements, has the impact on all the things with it. If you're 79 and eight, well, on the score type of things, above average would be 75 to 79. I think a lot of images fall into that category and people, oh no, I missed my merit. However, it's still considered an above average image for a professional photographer. So if you're getting in that category, you still have really good images. But our goal is to get that above that and get that merit. Okay, that answer your question or?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay. Color contrast, red and green creates excitement. And this color psychology goes way back. I mean, red and green is so important that hundreds of years ago, they changed Christmas to the most depressing time of the year. Well, Jesus was actually born in like July, and they moved it to December because this was the most depressing time of the year. There was more suicides done during that time of year than anything else. So one of the things they did to reduce the suicides was they moved the holiday there and decided to have everybody direct to decorate in red and green. That created excitement and it reduced drastically the amount of suicides done during that time of year. Because that time of year is also the darkest time of the year. Um, as you know, Christmas up here, how it's dark at 4:30, you know. Now it's getting a little bit later. Dark is depressing. That time of year is depressing, and it does cause a lot of suicides during that time of year. Um, so red and green was an important factor, and it's important for us to know that to decorate in red and green, if we're in a position wherever there is a lot of depression or a lack of excitement, those colors can help um, us in that environment. And on the competition side, if you want to create excitement in that image, those colors will work for you there as well. Here's a red and green image I did. This is the artist image, actually. I just took apples and made a face out of it and used red and green, to try to keep it exciting as possible. And that's a mirror in the artist category. This is using red and green with a tomato hookworm. I'm not sure how exciting that is to anybody, but it's all part of it. All right. This is another merit image. It's called the final bow. Um, I wanted to photograph this tulip, and I took a bunch of pictures of it. I'm working on competition images, and I'm not sure about you, but when I'm always working on something, and I have folders for competition images, and I'm always thinking about that type of thing. Um, and people I talk to that are in that frame of mind do better at print competition than I remember way back when I first started off. At the end of the year came time for print competition. I went through my folders. Oh, maybe I'll use this and this. I was not so successful then as I was when I really became excited about it and had folders set aside and started really working on it. Um, Sometimes people who do the best in image competition are only the people that work the hardest at it. Um, it's amazing to think that works that way, huh? Uh, but this was I had a tulip. I got perfect in this vase, and I photographed. I never really got anything of it. I went back a couple days later, and the whole thing started wilting down. I go, oh, there you go, and leaning over, and so I said, yo, it was no longer just a regular tulip. Then it had something different to it, had a different style to it, had a different feeling to it. Um, it made it different. Uh, so I went with it, and I put a green background with it, so it's red and green. Keep it simple, and nice lighting to separate it from the background. And then had a title, The Final Bow, that helped tell that story of the two passing away. So it was a good story with it. So all those type of things can be very helpful in creating an image that the judges are going to fall for. Okay, next thing are color harmonies, the cool tone color harmony and warm tone color harmony. Um, And I really think it's important to understand the difference between cool tones and warm tones in people, because it's how much keratin you have in your skin. And it's relationship between pigment and keratin in your skin that makes everybody different as far as a skin tone. There's a whole thing on, there's a book called Color Me Beautiful, how they put everybody in different seasons, like summer, winter, spring, and fall. I think everybody should understand what your season is, and you should have an understanding what your clients are, so you can dress them in colors that go with them or go against them, depends on what you want to say. Usually you want to go with them because when you harmonize with your natural coloring, it's more of a positive feeling. Unless you want to intentionally create anger or tension, then you'd go against it. Um, a lot of people end up going against it without realizing it. Like, oh, gee, And I had that problem for a while. I was doing these great pictures of high school seniors, and they weren't picking them. Then I realized they had the wrong color on. When I started getting them to wearing the right colors with the same exact lighting, the same expression, everything the same, just a different color shirt, they go, "Oh yeah, this is great. I love this." I go, "Really?" And it was just they didn't know it either what they were doing, and it was just understanding how colors harmonize with you or go against you. So that's a whole big thing right there, and we can get into that more, but uh, it's a whole day thing right like that. And here's a warm tone color harmony. Warm tones are basically yellow based, and cool tones are blue based. So if you have a red here, you want orange red, and in a cool tone, your red would be more of a purple red type of thing. But these are all warm tones. Uh, and it's important to understand in the feelings of warm tones. We have everything all warm. You obviously have a warm feeling. You can also have a lazy feeling, a sadness, a sleepiness. So if you want to say those things, like a little baby, that's sleeping and warm, kind of goes with that. Make sure all those feelings come together. Here's a warm tone, just an animal, all the warm tones together, right in close. This was a mirror image. The title of this was called Mainly Me. Um, an image competition, the title can make a big difference. And we have title naming parties. And my friend Mark Sweeney, you might know him. He's also a judge. I think he's judged in Vermont. Um, and he's the one that came up with the title for this. Here's a portrait I did. Um, and just for fun, I said, "Oh, let's try this and do a grouchy look." This is a client, but I also played around with different things, and he agreed to do that. And there's a warm tone, got all the tones working together. This was an ape I photographed in a zoo. However, a silverback ape are more of a gray and silver color. I changed the color of him here. A lot of people would be, "Oh no, you can't do that." If they know the species, they'd be really upset. But I really didn't care about that. I care about getting the merit. So I did whatever was necessary for the merit. I didn't care if the species is not correct color or not in this case, because that's not important. If I was doing it documentary for something else, that would be a big thing. But for image competition, I wanted the warm tones kind of go together. So I changed the color of the ape to a warm tone. So I had the warm tone color harmony. Um, if I didn't, it would not have scored as high as it did. And this was a merit image as well. Just a dog with in the background. Of course, this is done in the studio, so the background you just harmonize it with the colors. And another merit. A rhino. This was all green in the background. I just put a background in. I did not bring the hippo into the studio. I brought the studio into the hippo. You probably knew that ahead of time, right? Although I've done this program before and I have had and or entered it before, and people complain that it's not fair because my images were done in the studio and that of my wildlife, and it wasn't fair. You hear all kinds of stuff. Okay, now cool tone color harmony. It's cool, peaceful, passive, solidarity, all those type of things are feelings that come with that. And as I talk about, I think a lot of it becomes, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's no big, thing. But sometimes we really stop to really think about how this is affecting our own images. We're not putting it into our own work as much as I think as we do as we should. And we get sucked into, oh yeah, this is good enough. And oh, I don't care what I'm wearing, and that type of thing. Yeah, okay, these are the feelings. This is something in nature, cool tone color harmony. This was another mirror image. I was in a boat and another boat went through and these dolphins were just playing in the wave. And actually, I was photographing this dolphin. This one here popped up. I didn't even know it till after I got home and looked at the picture. Go, wow, look at this. And but makes for a nice thing here. Let's go on to predominant colors. This is when you have all one color. Is a very effective tool in advertising photography. Just one primary color. It can give you a big punch. And that's where you get it's very strength, very bold. We talk about high impact of one of the 12 elements. This is one way you really get some impact with having that big punch of one color. And right here, look at this. This was a mostly one color, how I framed it and all that. Let the color come right through and be dominant. A lot of times images become weaker or lower scores because there's just too many different colors in the same image. Everything was silver, the face and everything else was silver. There's one color became very dominant. And this was actually done in film and it was shot with a 4x5 and it had a screen with a black velvet screen with a hole cut into it and did one shot, then another shot, a double exposure on a 4x5. That's because it's an exercise I was doing, and that's what I did. That's one of my earlier images, obviously. I don't shoot with 4x5 very much anymore. Just one dominant color. Blue is very reflective. You can imagine that. Green is very tranquil. And here is a all green. Again, this is just a frog in the water, and you see the line here, I just took this top here and doubled it down. Just a frog, and I was walking through and I saw this frog in the grass and went out there and took a picture of it. See, and here's another one. This was done in the zoo too. Um, this this snake is probably only like 6 inches long. It's a little teeny thing. It was in just a small aquarium at a zoo, and with a this was Olympus with just a regular lens onto it. And I just added the green in the background to make it all green because I had all different funky things in the aquarium, all these different colors like that. Everybody goes, "Oh, how pretty, how pretty!" And I didn't think it was all pretty. I want the focus just to be all green, so it's all green tones type of thing. And yellow is very optimistic. Let's talk about muted colors. Actually, we use this a lot in photography. When there are no primary colors, everything is muted so that, uh, and that will certainly give us a different feeling. Bleakness, tranquility, and romantic. I use this a lot for engagement photographs, foggy type of, pictures with just not bright colors, it's soft colors. Um, like on a dock with morning fog and a couple together, embrace something like that. That can be a very high impact type of photograph. High key, we do a lot of that type of thing. Um, High key is not just a white background. High key is a dominance of highlights and a lack of shadows. If you look at it that way, you understand a little bit more on how the psychology of high key works. Mostly white with a lack of shadows. I think I'm ahead of myself. A soft, delicate feeling of lightness. That's why we do a lot of a soft, clean, delicate feeling is a lot. Makes sense to use it for why brides wear white. I think children in white, the softness type of thing. If you do like first communion type of photographs, all that type of thing, how that works together, it becomes very nice, strong images that way. Then low key is because the opposite type of thing. It's mostly dark and dominant by shadows, and how the highlight is different. Mostly dark and dominant by shadows. There's one else coming in here. It's mysterious, evil, death, sensuous. Uh, and this is a problem with the market right now that is so marketed. Black became a big color choice of clothing, and a lot of people feel comfortable in black. For one thing, black tends to make you look thinner, not in all cases, but in some cases it can make you look thinner. And once you have that in your head, you want to look thinner in a photograph, especially since the camera adds pounds anyway. So you want to counteract that. But I think that is the wrong way to approach it. I think the color of black, the evil side of it, can be more of a problem than not. I rather see someone maybe in a dark um, navy rather than black. I think they will look just as thin, maybe even thinner, because black does in some cases adds a depth, and I can prove it, but not in 25 words or less. Um, so I really get my clients to go into um, other colors rather than black, and this is the big fight. Especially in New York, because New York City, everybody, oh, I gotta wear black, gotta wear black. It drives me nuts because it's not necessarily the best story to tell about that person. And it's hard for me to understand sometimes or communicate with the person that black is not their best color to wear for their photographs, especially because they're hell bent on wearing black and that's all I wear is black. Um, And here is a portrait I did with black. There's I made it black and white because there was a yellowness to this house that this didn't work. So this image was better in black and white. If the colors are not working with you, you're better off getting rid of them. It's much more powerful in black and white. And in black and white, you need a good contrast. Um, you need a white and a black and several different shades of gray to have a good quality black and white photograph. But you can see the evilness and all that's come through. If he was smiling there when Ben says, good. This is another black and white photograph, and it was kind of a funky shirt he had on. This was taken in Atlanta, Georgia, underneath the PPA headquarters. There is a food concession stand there, there's an alley there, and there's tables in the middle. I was sitting at a table. This was a beggar. Um, that was looking for money, and I ordered. I had a whole bunch of grits. I really wasn't crazy about them. Certain the way they ever made them in this place. So I offered him if he wanted them. He said, sure. And he ate him right up. He's talking to him. Now, the highlight here on his head, on the upper right-hand side, was a light from a concession stand on the side, and there's another concession stand over here on the other side. We're sitting at a table in the middle of these two lights. So I saw how the light came right in. So I said, you can have this food if I can take your picture. So he was happy to eat, and I gave him a couple bucks besides. And I just added the background in later. Um, so you never know where you're going to find a good photograph. I have a lot of fun doing that type of thing. This is another black and white. Uh, I'll really show you how evil works in this type of thing. Okay. Now, next thing I want to talk about is the isolation color. Um, I do a lot of this with a white background, just wearing one color in the studio. It can be very powerful. Just one primary color, and each color will have a different feeling and tell a different story. Uh, this is this one zebra, and I just swapped it back and forth and made one red. And isolation color added a strength to that. So there's a lot of Photoshop done on this particular image. And this is just at a zoo, so there's all crap here. So I just made it white and let this go very white and gray. And this was a mirror image type of thing. But it's the power of the color that made it a mirror image. And red together would always gives a feeling of vitality. And that's important to understand. Let's talk about red. Red is an attention-grabbing color. So red is often associated with energy, war, strength, power, redemption, as well as emotion, warmth, passion, desire, and love. Red is the color of fire and blood. Use red carefully because it can contradict itself as it is dependent of culture's historical and political content. I made a slide because I can see a lot of people using red incorrectly. And there are a lot of cultural things associated with red that we don't want to cross. So you have to be careful of that. But red is your most powerful color. And I think as far as my family work, especially around the holidays, everybody wants to come dressed in red, or everybody's dressed in one white and one person dressed in red. Your eye will always go to that red, and the red is too strong in this case. And I think it just ruins your whole photograph. Here is a color I did of a local she was an exercise type place. She was advertising, and she wanted to do an advertising photograph to promote her gymnastics or whatever type of thing she was doing. And she had a great, she had all different color leotards, but one was blue, green, like that. No, in this case, red works because we talked about before how vitality and all that goes with this. So this was her picture that we came up with for her advertisement for her classes and her shop, whatever. Green will give a feeling of freshness. So if you, that's why food, you always have them green. If you want to photograph a hamburger, you usually have a little lettuce sticking out. The green will always make the whole meal looks freshness. That's why if we're photographing a spaghetti dinner, I just did that for an Italian restaurant. I said, well, you have to have a garnish or green garnish of some kind of thing on top of it, and that makes the whole meal look fresher and more appetizing. So if you add green, that's why green added into most food photography is important because it gives that feeling of freshness. Blue gives a feeling of power. Okay, and that's another reason why I get people out of black into blue. Because a lot of times they're executive um, portraits and they want to feel strong and like that. But black is not really making them feel powerful as much. They're making them feel more evil. And I want to make them feel more powerful. And understanding how you can help your clients by changing these little colors uh, can be very profitable for you. And also in competition, even though some of the judges aren't trained that much in color psychology, they'll know it whether they know it or not. If it's a good, strong image and the colors work for them, I make it my thing to screw with judges' minds as much as I can to get them to react to an image um, without them realizing it. And I've kind of have fun doing that, and I have a group of people that we sit back and laugh, and as they go through, and as I predict how they're going to react to it. Yellow gives a feeling of alone. Also, so yellow is also, yeah. Let's go back. Yellow, um, yellow gives a feeling of alone, and also yellow is the most boring color. So if you want your pictures to be really boring and not looked at very long, yellow is a good color to use. McDonald's uses yellow arches. Their whole color is yellow um, because they want people eat and leave. So it's the most boring color. You get bored sitting around at McDonald's and you leave and you come back because it's exciting. It brings you back, but then you leave. A restaurant that's making money and keeping you there selling drinks would never be successful decorated in yellow. And that's why most successful restaurants, there's a whole color psychology and design for restaurants. And you always see browns and greens. It all makes sense, right? The final color type thing is false color. And that's when the colors in your image are not colors that you expect them to be. What else I got here? I'll get some more stuff. Common things and uncommon colors. It also gets a feeling of unreal, bizarre, and dramatic. If you want to create those feelings in your images, this is the technique to do that. So a lot of times images can be very strong, very powerful, and hit on the 12 elements. Well, that can be very dramatic and bizarre, but you have to make sure there's colors in there that are not the right colors. They're changed somehow, okay? This is an image, that's a freaking butterfly, but I wanted to do something with it that is going to be special competition. I just went into playing around with it in Photoshop and did all these funky things and entered it that way. And because it was so bizarre and uncommon and well, merit, just go that way. All righty. So that is some things on color. Any questions here, or am I putting you to sleep, or
I have no questions, but I already took a note on a potential competition piece later on, so I'm inspired.
Onward. Okay. Now, now let's get into now my favorite part of image competition is looking at images and talking about them. And that's what I really miss now with the MRI. All the judging is done behind the scenes. And oh, I love that. I love hearing about what the judges have to say, their critiques, and all that type of thing. So today, I'm going to take some images. I'm going to tear them apart just for fun. Now, if it's your image, it can be really heart-wrenching, or it can be very beneficial. If I look back in my career, the judges that beat me up the most helped me the most. The ones that said, "Oh, how pretty," really didn't help me. Maybe it made my ego feel good, but as making me a better photographer, it didn't help me. So, let's see, come on here. But here's a whole bunch of images. Let's start right in this one here. Now, as far as first thing I'm do, I hit Control J. I made a copy of it. Not that I'm going to do anything with it anyway. It's just by habit. I always make a copy, do it on another layer. It's just a freaky thing. Image image size. I want to look at the size of the image. This can still be 4,000 on the long side. A lot of people do this with the 72 here, but for me, what I want to do, I want to be consistent in everything I do. So I'm just going to also have the resolution at 200, and on the long side, if you had it 20 times 200 is 4,000. So I want to work at images in the 20 inches because all my strokes and all my stuff like that are consistent if I'm working in the same size. If I'm one size is 72, even though it's 72 inches. Okay, let me get a scare. Okay, that way. See, it didn't change it that much in size, but how it is going to react with all my tools is going to be different. And I like to be consistent. And I'm not sure. There's some people arguing about all kinds of technical things in there. Okay, let's start talking about the image. A father's tears. Wow. I love the story here, and the impact and the strength in this is outstanding. Being black and white, I think is a good choice because then the colors, there's no bad colors that's going to bother you here. So I think the black and white was a great choice. Off to the side, the composition I think is strong. The little, you can see my thing. We talked this way, the arch here,
Yeah.
and the light coming in, make the rim light here. I think that is all very strong, and certain that expression, you just can't get away from it. So those hit all those points really strong. So it might be a mirror image, but if it is a mirror image, let's make our mind say, okay, I want this to be go lone or what they call it, or I want to score 100. We always want to do more. So first of all, I have some techniques that I always do that help me a lot to look at images. So I want to share some of these techniques with you. What I'm going to do here, I have color guides, crop guides. Okay. And let's try dynamic symmetry. I got a whole bunch of different ones here. Any of these you can download. And again, if you see something here you want later, I can always email you one of these. Dynamic symmetry. We usually put everything in rule of thirds. This takes it on a whole different level and helps me to look at an image a whole different way. I'll move this up. I want to be on this layer. Just move it down here. Okay, and I'll just put this not over the matted part, just over the whole image. And these have dynamic symmetry has a very what did I do that for? All right, I'll go back here. One of those days, huh? Okay. Am I there yet? All right. I can start talking and lose my head. And next, hit enter. I forgot to do that. Now it's on there. What this does shows you how nice, how this line comes right into him, type of nice, and how it comes through. What this does for me, all these lines helps me run my eye through the image in a different way. So I'm starting to see how things go. Wow, look at how this line comes around, how this line comes around. Okay. Then I start making it do different things and looking at it a different way. So I start moving it around and see how these lines affect. So I had this line come to the shoulder. Okay, now I do that. Now this line comes right through that arm. It comes right to the top of the head, comes right through here, comes right to the arm. Now all these lines, this lines up to the hand. See how these things start coming together a different way? Yeah. So I'm saying, yeah, that's it right there. So then I would crop it there. All right. Now, I didn't change the cropping that much, but for me, now my eye goes through it a little bit differently, and I think it's a little bit stronger here. Maybe not. Maybe what I would do, I'd make this, I'd flatten it and redo it, and then I'd come back maybe another day and look at it again and do some more thinking on it. But right away, I can see now how that this is a little bit stronger than maybe it was before. I don't know if I can go back to here. Yeah, can you maybe go back in history? Can I do that way? This is this way. See, that has a lot of negative space there. And I think that way has a little bit more, just a little bit stronger. The other one wasn't bad at all, but I think this way here is just a little bit more stronger. And how my eyes comes in, it has a little bit more power that way. All right. Yeah, that's in thirds. That's that, and this comes in thirds. Okay. I'm gonna delete. What do I want to do that for? Oh, I backspaced it. Sorry.
Just your crop tool, I think.
Yeah, I want to go back off of that. Delete that one. Oh, did it twice. All right. All right. So now, the next thing I'm going to do, this is going to blow some of your mind right there. I'll tell you right there. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do a curves adjustment. Okay, I'm going to look at it first and see what it says. And if this is over too far, I'll bring it in just a little bit more. But in this case, I think it's all right. It tells me here the darks are up here a little bit more. If you come over here, you can just lighten up a little bit of dark like that. And see right there, so it's a little more detail in the shadows. I like that a little bit better. All right. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this here, I'm going to move this up to here like this, and move this here down here like this. Then I'm going to move this here up here like this, and move that down like that, and move this over here like this. Okay. Now this is called, I can see it down more, right down to here. There you go. Put that back up to there. You can see all the crazy things it does to it. Now I can look at the shadows here, what it does. Look at that. Okay. What I'm doing now, I'm analyzing all the things about. And every image, before I send it in, I would do this to it and come up closely and look at it. Okay, now I'm going to come in and out of it. Okay, now see what this does to me. And after you use it a few times, you start to see all these little speckles you didn't see before. And look at this mesh right here, the mesh right here. It tells me something right there. Look at this. Now it comes right in. Now see the eye. This eye is something, it reveals something funky there. So yeah, so right here, this eye does not look right. And this revealed it, how the shadow comes in here. So I would change the highlight stronger here and move it over a little bit here. This eye looks soft for some reason, and it looks different here. So that this is called a solar curve. It revealed that about it. So I would clear that up. And also, if there's any other things in the background, like there's a line right here that reveals and goes through. And every part of this, I'll look in close and go back and forth. And okay, now see how this here tells you, look at that, how that brings that right out. There's some inconsistencies here. And look at that. Now all this here revealed to me that that is a problem. Let's look here. Look at this here. These lines here right to the edge, this part here, all those things now I go back, I can see there's somewhere lighter and somewhere darker. This thing here, this thing right here bothers me. These little things here, I'll go into that image and make all those corrections so that it's a much cleaner image than it is now. Isn't that amazing?
Very nice. Yeah.
Look at those
Technique
things.
Yeah.
All those things that just by looking at it in a couple minutes, we've changed this image drastically. And I really believe that it's going to score 5
Ken, how would you adjust those areas? Would you just use like, kind of smoothing out the skin and all that stuff?
Yeah,
like, are you like clone stamping different areas where that's like, especially on the bride's arm?
Okay, on the bride's arm. Well, there's
Yeah.
a lot of different ways to do that. That's a whole Photoshop thing. For today, what we could just do, one thing I would try different things. If it was my image, I would try a couple different things, see what worked out well. First of all, I would probably go to a mixer brush, and I would pick this color here to mix with, and I go to the mixer brush, and I'm at 19%. I don't know why. I go to 20, and just kind of go like that on it, like that. Look at that. There's a couple of smooth squicks. Look at that now. Look at that. Just 2 seconds with a mixer brush. And that arm looks so much better. And also this here area right here, I would probably darken that down or move that over. I would probably let's take a look at it like this. I hit that area, then Control Shift X, and then just move that over just a bit like that. Enter, yeah. See, look at that. Just a second. I just took that from going there to there. And it's a small thing, but all these little things are small things. And look at the difference though, from that look to that look. Not only would I do that for competition, I would do that for the bride. All my brides have that problem, that style of dress causes that, some more than others. And I go through every one of them and it would take that out. Okay, and also I go on more, let's go on to more images because I don't want to spend all day on just one image. All right. Any other questions here? Nope. Okay, I'm just gonna say no. I don't say. Let's go to a leap of love. Okay, this is called a leap of love, which is a
Mm.
fantastic title.
Oh,
And has a great look. Look at the expressions in everybody's face and how they caught her right up in the air. The horizon line is like 1/3. The composition is great. The expressions are outstanding. The expression on her is outstanding. And there's that moment caught. There's a disconnect here. So there's a nice space around the hands and all the hands. This is absolutely fabulous. How that all comes together and expression is great. But let's look at it closer. Bring this here, grid back on here. Oh, before I do that, obviously, see how small that is?
Mm.
That's because image size, it's at 50 and 72. So make this, should be 20, 200. Now, the size is almost the same, but all my tools are going to be working differently. Now, with this, you don't have to go horizontal and vertical. It will go either way. You can just stretch it. It's the same thing. Okay. So now we want to look and see how the eye comes right around. Now she's centered really nice. And so all these lines come around. Um,
Mm.
This line is cutting a little bit up here. This line is cutting here. Let's mess with these lines and see what happens. Let's bring this here up. So this line goes up to there.
Mm.
Now, if I do that, now this line comes to the horizon line here. This line cuts into here. This line goes right through his face. It comes through here, comes through here. The lines to this, how his hands were so great. It brings me to here more. Yes, I like that, like that. Let's see what this does. Can I do it this way? Yeah, I can do that way, I think. All right. Yeah. So this is what we started with, like that, with all the space here. Now I would do it like that. I think it's so strong. All these things we talked about how strong it was, it brings me more into that. And I think what's below it didn't add, and I subtracted, and it brings this more out. Okay. Now next step is curves adjustment. Come on over here. Now you can see here, this comes over here a little bit. So I want to bring this into here. So see, this is muddy. If I bring that over to the edge, the blacks are blacker. Okay. So certainly we want that. We don't want that muddiness in there. He is blown out here. We have to work on that. Okay, now let's bring that up, bring this down, bring that up, bring this down. See what he does. Okay, now this is a really good one because the solar curve, you can, there's a whole thing, if you Google solar curves, do all this thing on it, explains a whole lot on it. You can order solar curves and I have ones I made, but I now do it this way because I custom making it to every image that I do, and it's not that hard. It takes a second to do that, and I just bring these lines to wherever that curve is naturally, and it tends to reveal more more information about the image that I want to see than using the pre-made solar curve adjustment thing that you can order online. I like this a lot, and right away, the first thing is to look at the sky, all these banding in the sky. Sometimes you send in images, they go, oh, there's banding, there's banding. I never saw it. If you do a solar curves adjustment, you'll never have that problem again because all this banding is multiplied right in your face right now, and you'll be able to see it better than anybody. Okay. So all this here, I go, oh wow. And all my stuff now, I do a solar curves adjustment on to check for banding. In this case, the sky is so bad, I probably redo the whole sky before I submitted this image. It didn't show up too much in the little picture we saw before, but as you start looking at it, it is going to be a problem. They come in here and start looking through. Yeah, there's all these spots here. There's spots in there. See the hand? Look at this. See these spots? Let's. What it is how the light came through and made sunspots on the hands. And I didn't really notice them before, but now once I look at this way and see them, now they drive me nuts. And it's not that hard just to take that out. And there's some work done on this anyway. It gets to kind of a funky thing, which is okay. But these little things on the hand would be so much better without them. And there's little spots right there. Get rid of those, and all these little dust spots type of things. Which is, and see on his head. Okay, now see his forehead. Looks like some work has been done. I'm not sure it has done, but his forehead. If I went back here, see how it revealed it. I come back here like this. Now I can see. Okay, now look at that. I always find another forehead with the wrinkles or something and put that and make it look more not a mush type of thing in there. And this line here I'll take out, all these lines I would take out. All right. The little softness in here. Maybe I'll work on that. But the biggest thing here, what the solar curve's done is the sky. And it wouldn't be too bad to even add a sky in there. It's so white, it wouldn't be too bad to have some clouds. You can have a nice little strain of clouds going through it. I don't know about you, but I have folders. I have like 200 or 300 different clouds that were not photographed. And I have folders of all kinds of clouds. And I can just take one right in, put it right in there, and give a nice little effect on this line here, like a line of clouds right through there, and a little bit of softness or some rays type of stuff. And that was eliminate that bad sky. Now, if I look at this up close now that I'm starting looking at it, I can start to even see some stuff here without the solar curves in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it? Get this stuff out of my way. Yeah. You can see it stuff. What did I do? Okay, I just moved it here. I see what happened. Yeah. Can see them now?
Yes, we can.
You can? Yeah.
Yeah,
And, it was,
yeah.
and so, first of all, the image was so powerful and such a great storytelling. I never really got into the sky. But I guarantee you, there is always that one judge on the panel is a pain in the ass will pick that stuff out.
Yep.
There was a Wayne guy that does that a lot too.
No, he does not.
Yeah.
No, I'm more about the storytelling, not the technical.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, I know. But you know what I'm talking about though, right?
I
There's that one
do.
guy that picked that stuff around
Oh God, yeah.
that
How many times have we? Yeah.
and not, and storytelling I think is so much more important, but there is that element that is there. It is there. There's no denying it's there. And as professional photographers, it is our obligation to make sure that it is done correct, not just for a competition, but for my bride, I'd want to have that corrected as well. And it'd be so much nicer to have, could have been a nice blue sky day. And she remembers that, you don't want to mess it up, but this is in black and white, so therefore it's been messed up anyway. So why not go for it? Okay, now if I look at more like this, let me get off of here. This spot right here would bother me. The detail lost in some of these. I would bring these texture feeling here and add it into these blocks that don't have the texture. And the area down here is light, and I'll take care of that. All right. So there's a one beautiful image torn to pieces to make it better. So hopefully this is helpful to you. Not only if it's your image, but sometimes looking at other people's images and all these techniques can be helpful as well. Hopefully.
Mhm. Very
Hey,
good.
let's go on and do it. I like people. We're running out of time here. Do this
Mhm.
one real quick. Only because we haven't done. All right. I'm sorry. This is something I already. These were sent to me a week ago, so I had time to do it, and I changed the border on it. I'm sorry, I don't have the original one here. But they had a gray border, and I made it black. Only because I can't help myself. And I already did some work on this. I'm sorry. Maybe I should not go to this one now. But basically, I stretched it and changed the composition a little bit. There's not too much I can do with that because there's no subject in it. But, this looked like it was from the same maker or similar maker and had the same gray background as this one.
Mm.
And
Great,
I
gray border.
the gray border, which
Yeah.
if I went over my color picker and picked anywheres here, I would come up with that.
Mhm.
However, on my color picker, I've changed the dynamics of it to make it wider, so I get a more narrow, so I get more of a precise color pick. Then it comes through naturally. But still, I think the background is distracting. Also, these white things in here are distracting.
Mm.
I don't know if I can do this, but can I just do a paint thing? What would happen if I did this? Yeah. It worked. I just took my paint bucket and dropped in a black in the background. This is the quick,
Mm.
easy way. I wouldn't do this normally, but for down quick and easy, just to show you that the difference
Mm.
between one and the other, how much more
Mhm.
powerful and impact it has with the black rather than the gray.
Mhm.
And obviously, these white spots in here are going to be a problem. If you don't mind, I want to go on to some of these other images that, because this was what we talked about before in color.
Mm.
Uh, this is a dominant color type of thing, and I really give the maker extra credit for this one. I love this because what all we talked about how the white just pops out. Everything's the same color, so really you're using color here to make it a lot more powerful image. The impact is increased. Everything is increased. The center composition is really nice. She's right in the center type of thing like that. However, again, let's look at it closer. Um, I'm not even change the size. I'm just going to go with it for now. Okay. That's for time wise. So I get through more images here. Can you go over in time, or you have to? Are you set on 3? Or we go over a little bit? It's okay.
Yeah, I think you're fine. And it's being recorded, so if people have to leave, they can.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the grid on the composition. It shows how nice and centered her face is. The hand is in that line. That works out well. Skirt line is at this line, and everything works out pretty good that way. But let's mess with it. Let's just see what can be done differently. How these lines, let's bring this, yeah. Now see how this line goes right through the body? Look at that.
Mm.
Look at that now. All right. How does someone come back and look at it right there? Yeah. And now this line is right on her face. This line comes through the body, brings it in here. I'm going to bring this right to here. And this line is on her leg. Yeah, let's try that. Can I do it this way? Yeah. Tighten it up a bit. Yeah. And all of this takes time sometimes, but as I'm sitting around and I'm playing with different things, looking at different compositions, sometimes I'll make 3 or 4 different compositions, and then come back to them a day later and go, oh, this sucked. I thought it was nice at the moment. I'm going to do it here. Okay, I have to be on this later. This is not the way you would do it because of problems it's going to cause, but for quick and easy, it worked.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, now let's history might be behind this here. Oh. Okay, now by moving it over, it gives a whole different dimension to it. The center composition was really nice, but I think, especially since she is looking off in that direction, I think it adds a better story to have her over here like this, like she's running out, looking back.
Mm.
I like that better. The other one was
Yeah.
great. By this, just a little bit adds a little bit more. Okay.
I like with the direction of her eyes too. Like if she had
Yes.
laser beams coming out of her eyes, I bet that would make one of those lines too. Right?
Yes.
Isn't there a rule where you give more space to where the eyes directed to?
Yep. It's all about the story, right?
It's cool.
And I'm going too quick here. Oh, go back here. I'm going to get rid of those lines. Yeah. Yeah, because you look at her closely, how she's looking off and up like that. The center composition, I think, worked out really well, but because of her motion of her body and the look of her eyes, I think it tells a stronger story to have her off to the side. Okay, let's do a laser solar curves. Now, if I bring that up, I can see a little bit there. I think darken it down. It says the solar curve adjustment tells me right away that it should be darkened down. And I think you darken it down, it does add a little bit more pizzazz to her. Okay, I can bring this up now. Whoa. And bring this down, see what it does. Bring this back. You need two. You bring this with, I'm gonna follow that line right there. Yeah. All right. You want 2 up, 2 down. Usually works the best. Now you can see the background. Look at that. We thought that background is great and nice, but look at it. There's all these problems in these colors
Mm.
that's going to come out, and then start looking at her arms
Mm.
and see that stuff comes out. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
This part of her thumb is funky. We start, and then this is the way you can start analyzing your images yourself better. Look at the legs. I think some smoothness in the legs would work better. And okay, right here, this area right in here, how that dress folds over. I think it would not be too
Mm.
hard. This is this cloning. I would not.
No, just give her a better shape, actually.
I would, yeah, give her a better shape. You just took that right out.
Mm-hmm.
And the natural dress is right there, so it's easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Put that little pump of dress in there. Okay, this is before and after. See that? That's all you done. But that little gob right there really bothered, you know.
Yep.
And okay, look at the eyes really close. There's a highlight underneath the eye here. I would work on that. There's
Mm-hmm.
there's on the solar curves. Look at this. It shows some spots in here in the face. How the shadows and lights are here. And over here, you
Oh,
can,
yeah.
you can go through. Now I'm at 200% here. I'm glad we came to this point. Now, I always forget to tell everybody, working on your images, you should be at 100, 200%. Look at it that way, make it good that way. And a lot of times my images, I make them even larger. Sometimes I work at DPI 400 and reduce it down to 200, the very last thing, to make it bigger. Especially, it depends on the image, but some things I do fine tune things in it that are subconscious um, problems or issues. Right through the nose right here. Look at that.
Mm.
See how this line is on right here? And that's why I would take that shadow and make it through there and make this line here the same. Maybe the hair a little bit. Now come back, see the highlight in the nose, how much that bothers me right there.
And you suggest 100 because that's what that's what a print would look like. And I also assume that the judges will be looking at this at 100%.
Yes, at least. Yeah, so if you do it at 200% and it's perfect, and they look at it 100%, then you're good. So
Right.
you see things at 33%, it can look great, but as we go up, more and more stuff comes wrong with it. So
I
300%,
agree with you.
you know,
Yeah, I do, because oftentimes I might start retouching at 60%, 65, and do that. It's like, okay, I think I'm done. And then I zoom in. I'm far from being done, because you can find all these small details that I missed at a lower resolution or
right?
lower percentage of
Yes, yeah,
enlargement. Yeah.
yeah. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah, um, that's what I was thinking. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and it's not that hard to even with a pack tool. I could probably just pull that right out like that.
Yep.
Now the person looking at it, I'm just messing it up, but um,
But the judges or that technical judge is looking for this kind of stuff.
and even if you don't see it, I can just smooth it right out like that. Yeah, it's still there, and it does not. Okay with that nose that way or this way. Look at this. Look how
Yeah.
it changed the shape of her
Yeah.
face just by adding that in
Yeah.
there. She's a prettier
Yeah.
person that way,
Yeah.
not just for the judges, but for her. you know, it's a subconscious type of thing, but, and one of the elements is subject matter. Your subject matter should be pretty, in this case, and every imperfection you can make her prettier is going to make a better subject for the story you're telling here. Here, this works well because it's a pretty young girl. It's the same pose, the same dress, the same thing on an old man would not tell the same story. And that's
No.
exaggerating, but you can see even if it was a redhead in a white dress, it would tell a different story. You know, every little teeny facet of every little thing is an important part of your image. And we all responsible as professionals to deal with everyone we can and learn as much as we can about how to address that.
Mhm.
All righty. Yeah. So look at that. All right. So hopefully that is helpful. Let's,
Nicely done. Yeah.
And how would you change that backdrop? How would you improve that backdrop?
I would, well,
Would you just paint it all the same color, or what would you?
there's a lot of different things you can do and depends on, one thing you could do right away is you could just isolate the whole background and just make a copy of it and just blur it.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
And that would reduce most of the banding in it. Um, the other thing to do is just start over, do another whole background. Because there's some darkness here, stuff like that. Or you could just go through and just paint and just use your mixer brush and just brush it out. You know, there's a lot of different techniques, depends how much time you have and what you
Yep.
want to do with.
Is
There's
it
probably
still good to have part of it a little bit darker, like what she's going into a little bit darker, and the
well,
back
the
side?
light comes from this way, so it's naturally a shadow here
Okay.
adds depth, I think. So that's not a problem. I don't
Right.
think I don't think it's necessary that it's constant. I think actually I like it better when having it go light to dark because it adds depth to the image.
Mhm.
So that I think that's a
And
good thing.
on that point, I think the darkness on the right-hand side sort of blocks your vision to stop going in that direction and
Yes.
has it cycle back to your subject. So your eyes kind of come to that darkness. There's nothing interesting there. It's dark. I'm going to come back to the subject. All that in a split second. You just don't think that. You just do it.
You're absolutely, I think it's a good point. Absolutely correct. The other thing to do, I'm just gonna make a thing. I'm gonna go Control U, which is hue saturation, and I'm just gonna change the different. I'm gonna look at
Ooh.
different color backgrounds on her, because
Yeah,
it's changing her too. But you could isolate her and just do the background different.
yeah.
And actually,
Oh. You can.
a little bit warmer.
Oh. Yeah.
Take the saturation.
Doesn't that take away from the whole Barbie theme? Because Barbie theme is all the pink, that's like the whole thing about Barbie, right? Like if that name
Yes.
is I'm a Barbie girl, then pink would be the,
The go-to color. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. However, I want to make the image absolutely the best I can make it.
Mhm.
Then change my title later if I have to.
Mhm.
You know, I'm
That's
not sure
true,
what's
yeah.
more important, the color or the title.
Mhm.
You have to decide what's more important. I'm not saying that you should definitely any of the images. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just
Mm.
throwing different things at you to find out. Okay, this might be better. Let's try it this way. Look at it. And for me, if this was my image, I would probably do it in 3 or 4 different colors, different ways. Come back to it a day later and decide then. All of them might be a mirror image, but one might be maybe a point higher, another whatever. I'm just looking at it different ways of telling you different ways to look at it. Because see, it's you say it's pink is Barbie,
Yeah.
but this is peachy.
Mhm.
For me,
Is that the original color?
this is the original color. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I would actually, if you want to go Barbie, if you want to do the Barbie thing, I would go make it more pink. Cause this is,
Anchor.
this,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right.
Can I make a comment before you go? Well, it doesn't matter because you've talked about banding in a couple of images. I remember one of the things that Ella Carlson told me as us in the class. Banding oftentimes occurs because Photoshop doesn't have enough information, and how to give that area information. He said is to add some graininess to it. And just subtly, very subtly add graininess. And if you don't like the quality of that grain, and then do what you said is then blur the grain a little bit. But
Right.
Photoshop needs something to do the gradient, and if it can't find something, then it does the banding. Like, oh, okay.
Yes. That's one way of doing it. The other way to do it is work on your image in 16-bit and then change it to 8-bit on the very last thing. Then
Yep,
a lot of the banding problem will go away that way.
Yep,
But
I agree with that. Yeah.
the texture is I do that a lot. The
Yep.
texture that's a really good point.
The graininess. Yep. Add something for Photoshop to work with. Yep.
Yep. Let's go on to a different image. How about this one here? And yeah, it's already. I'll do a couple more. Yeah. All right. This is nice. Elegance in bloom. Really beautiful image. How the line comes right in, everything comes in, the lighting on the face is beautiful, the elegance of the dress, the pose, the hand, the bent of the wrist is great. Everything flows, very elegant posing and elegant bloom. So the title and everything and the lighting is absolutely beautiful with it. Control J. Let me
Let's see,
get the composition of it. Okay. Okay, now we see the composition of how these kind of comes in, and the face is kind of up here, and this is kind of above the line. So let's increase this up higher. So now this line is in the eye, and this line comes right through the thing. And now see how these also the background brings you right into this area. I like that. Here, let's take a look. Try to go quick as I can. There's so much to go over here. And come up to here. Is that where it runs? Again, we this is gonna make the things go awkward, but for right now, will give us an idea. Good. What happened there? Ooh. Yes. I messed up someplace. All right, and I'm also on the wrong way right here. Can I do it that way?
Oh, certainly getting the general idea of it.
Yeah, let's get the general idea of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It's going to distort
To the
everything. But the main thing here, how the subject, how the eye works, how this comes into the eye more by having more space up here, the face and all everything comes together better than cropped off the top. The crop off the top was beautiful, but I think this adds a little bit more by adding this space up here brings
Hmm.
my eye into more of the storyteller, and my eye flows around the subject much better by using the dynamic symmetry lines with it instead. If you study art and you go through a major museum and did lines on it, you would find very few of the best artist piece are in division of thirds. Everybody says, "Oh, do thirds," but actually, it's more a division of fifths and division of eighths, 11ths, and 13ths. If you really dissect all the images, and the dynamic symmetry will work cleaner on those than anything done in thirds. The thirds is only a starting point to get it going. From there, you want to extend it. And obviously you would have to just go back to there, but
Sure.
I like that a lot better. Okay,
Yeah, to do the curve test.
do a curve cast on here. And add a little bit more pop to it. It's a little bit flat.
Mhm.
And add a little bit more like this. I would do it that way. I think it lacked some pop by
Mm.
increasing that. Bring it over here and bring it. Could this tell you the shadows are too much?
Mhm.
I would have done that. Okay, now I'm going to just bring these up and do this here. Bring this to here, bring this to here, bring that up to there, bring this up to there. Nope, I like that one down lower. Okay. Yeah, so this was for me, for my eye, these spots here are good.
Mm.
See this now, how the shadows coming in?
Mm.
It's the nose is not even, and these spots on the neck and over through here,
Mhm.
and especially right here, this should be all one color.
Yeah.
And this spot here, and there's that spot right there. So what I would do now, we make this here
Yeah.
bigger. Oop. Now, see this spot right here? The
Yep.
spot right here, and the spot right here. These are
Yep.
all what I consider would be with.
Probably.
Oop, I'm on the wrong layer. Trying to go too fast. I don't know if I can do this here quickly. This one here. Yes. Now see they're smoother there. Now you can look at them here. Now see that. Look at the difference.
Yeah.
Now, it's a little difference, but that face is prettier right now without than that. Those spots are like greasy spots, shiny spots. It's not as flattering as without them.
Yep.
All right. It's a very minor thing. It looked absolutely gorgeous before. Also, all the stuff in the neck, I would try to smooth all these lights out and all that
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
And right there, look at that. Oop, not that one, this one. You get it through there. All right, that's pretty nice. These things here bother me. I'd have this this tone, especially at the edge right here. Make it. Yeah, these here. Look at this. If it was all
Oh, yeah.
nicely smooth, draped off. Yes, these are all nice texture here, and there's mush there. It is revealed
Mm.
here. There's all
Yep.
texture. There's a little bit of mush there. You copy, you take one of these panels and move it up and move it in there. So it's
Yep.
all nice texture through there. All right.
All right.
That's a couple little things there to help improve
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that one. All right.
Perfect.
Let's,
Thanks.
let's, it's already 3 o'clock. So let's go. There's a bunch more. I'm not sure if I have time to go through all these, but uh, here, let me go this one here really quick. I did something ahead of time on this one,
Good.
real quick on the.
Mm.
This is what the person had,
Mm.
and I flipped it and did it the same gray border. I flipped it around and did that.
Mm.
This is before and after. I'm just playing with it. I did a little vignetting and all that type of thing. Just playing with it a couple minutes to just see what you know.
Mm.
I like my eye coming in from this way and going into here rather than coming back.
Mm.
When your eye comes in from this direction, it's more relaxing. When eye comes in this lighting way, it's more exciting. So if you want to create excitement to your image, you make your eye come in this way. If you want it more relaxed and peaceful, you have it come in this way. So I think this subject required my eye coming in this way. I thought was better than, that way. That's all. All right. If that's helpful to anybody.
Wow, nice.
Okay, let's go to, you have a preference? This one here I looked at, there's a couple of things that, now, on this one, I thought was absolutely great storytelling. There's the mother, the dad, and the baby. It says, and then there were three, is the title. Obviously, they had a baby, that's the story. The lighting of the profile is very dramatic, and that really adds a nice, dynamic, high impact type of photograph. Okay. Um, One thing about this is that let's call it common referred to as a high key subject and a low key background.
Mm.
When you have the whites against the black background, that contrast means conflict. Here you don't want to create conflict, you want to create harmony and peaceful and loveliness. So in this case, the softness of the white and on the white on white would be a much more pleasing color composition to tell the story here. However, there's the harsh shadows, it kind of goes with that type of thing. There's a couple of things too. The hand, I'm shooting into a big hand. That can be a problem. I don't think the composition is good. I'm going to go into what did I do here? Oh no. I hit some button I wasn't supposed to. You ever do that?
Mm. No,
All the
never. It's like that. That's how you learn Photoshop. Just push random buttons.
Yeah. My big thing here, I do a lot of profiles and that type of thing, and it tells a great story and a great thing. I see two eyes here, one eye here, one eye here. When you see two eyes like here, this is called a split profile. And I think they all should be the same. And for me, the eyes are all looking in different directions. If it's a family all looking off, the story is they all should be looking in the same exact direction. When you do a profile, the person cannot be looking straight because it looks this way. And they look a little bit off, they have no eye at all. If they look too much to the side, it looks like an Egyptian painting. That's not good either. So the ideal focus is just a little bit off center. Okay, this is, oh, wow. I'm talking. Now we see the eyes. It's not too hard. Go up to, you see how the eye is there? Just go to your brush on black. If I made a line right down here, come on, brush. 100%. Why is it doing that? Okay. It has decided to stop working. Anyway, I would make a line right down here, and this would make the eye look like it's coming around.
Hmm.
And why is not doing it?
I
Just
just,
give me a
uh,
hard time here. Because it's not, I'm on the right lane.
I'll
I'm
do a
on
command.
It's
Command
one
D.
pixel.
Do
Make
a
it a little
command D.
bigger.
Command D to unselect anything.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. Yep.
No,
Nope.
still not.
Control V right there. I'm on the layer. Oh, I'm on darken. That's why. I'll have that happen. There you go. It's always something there.
Uh-huh. Still
D,
something. What is going on?
Control D. Oh, Control D. And I'm on black. And
Is it the size of your brush?
I want it at one.
Oh, you do? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And it's not gonna make a difference.
No, I guess not.
Hate it when that happens. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
there's a way that if you make the blind down here, just line that eye, the eye will just bring the eye over. There's other techniques to bring the eye over, and it would have to do it with each one of them because his eye was the same way. You know, you just make a line right around it. Maybe the smoothing is on 10. Maybe that's it. Nope.
I see something going on
Yeah.
with that brush.
Just decided to say, screw you. I heard enough of you today. Well, anyway, that's what's bothering me about that, and the highlights is just blown out and all that type of thing, and the hand is too dominant. We beat this one up enough. Let's go to another one. Is there anything here that someone here wants to see right away because we're running out of time, or
Speak up, folks.
what's that?
I told the members to speak up.
I think I'm the only one who hasn't had something seen. So
right.
either Sneak Peek, Winning Lap, or River Awakens.
Okay, the river away. These 2 years, you did something with them already, right? River never.
Yeah, I gave you the straight out of camera and then the matted because I fear that
Yes.
my downfall is cropping.
Here's one. Where's the other one? This is what you started with.
Yeah.
Yes. Now this is an absolutely gorgeous photograph. The lighting and everything like that. You know, one of the biggest problems in scenic photographs, they're taking it at the wrong time of day, and there's no shadows, no nothing. You have everything here. What bothers me most about it is that the cast from the sky comes into here, and so it's so blue through here. I would isolate that and warm that area up. Because it gives me an uneven. I want a warm tone color harmony. There's warm over here and it's cool over here. I want it all the same. All the colors through here. I would actually probably bring some of the reds out into that. I love the house here. if this was mine, I might crop it into tell a story about this is so beautiful right through here. It's just it's just an ordinary house.
I
I
think
would
I
keep-
cropped it out in mine.
Huh?
I think the matted one, I cropped it out.
Yes, you did. Yes. Um, um, which it's okay because you are going more for the river.
Mhm.
You know, um, the problem with this type of photograph is that there are several great photographs in here. You have to decide which ones you want to go with. You know,
Yeah.
and the trees, all this here, there's a lot of pretty in here, and it's hard to find the center of interest and what's going to be with the right composition. I like how the tree comes in here. Well, let's start with this
Mhm.
and put the grid on it. Dynamic symmetry. I have a whole bunch of different ones too, but some of those are for other different reasons, for different things. And I'm certainly willing to stay longer to go through these more if you want to, you know. Okay, that is it. Which is nice. The road comes into this line. There's this line here. Okay, let's move it around. See, I like it better with that line coming through here.
Mhm.
And bring that house into there. And then back. That goes through there and there. I like it like that. Yeah, come down a little bit. Stretch the bottom down. I'm gonna go with that just for ha-has.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Wayne, did you have an image shown?
I
You
did.
could, okay.
Wow, what? I want just the bottom down here. You can stretch like that. And actually, in this case, it actually worked out nice because that adds dimension to the shadows. Yeah, look at that. What do you think of that?
Well, now that you mentioned those blue mountains, I might just be chopping them right out of there. I can't unsee them.
I, and it's something that once you say it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that. Bring them.
Mm,
Ah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of like that river in there.
yeah.
Well, I kind of like the Blue Mountains. Let's see if my brush is working. Soft color.
Well, I know I can go in and select the shadows and change the tint from blue to warm.
Right.
I think that'll be enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know how to do that, right? It's not a problem.
Yeah. Thanks.
There's a whole program made to do this. Let's see. I don't like that.
No.
Not that technique.
No.
That's a yellow too. There you go.
Hmm.
There. Okay, I put it in a separate layer, so you can see that's with it and without it. See, that's I like it better just that much without the blue in it. Of course, that's done really quick and easy. Not
Right.
now. The sky's not exciting either. It's too light down here.
Mm-hmm.
I would make it again. I have a sky with it. There's a strip of blue clouds going through here.
Yep.
I like it that way better. Now, if you're really energetic, I would take maybe these houses, some of the stuff out. And this
Mm.
house I love here. But I would find another house, like a log cabin,
Of
and put that right there.
course.
You know,
Yep.
this 2-car garage type of thing, and on all these
Yeah.
little spots, that little spot go out and just make this into a log cabin and keep the shadows in there, and see it's cool tone. I'd make it warm tone. That's why I say a log cabin. Okay, it's a
Mm.
fall picture with all these colors. So fall is warm, muted colors. So you don't want anything bright, you want it muted, and you want it warm. And go through and take out every little spot that's not, these towers, take them off. All these little spots there, I'll take out. Even this extra lakes. And I think those lakes would pop out more if we went to a solar panel
Mm.
for the adjustment here.
Oh, yeah.
Curves property. I say you're good there. I'm gonna bring that up to that curve and bring that down on that curve like that. Then bring this over here and bring this back down to here. Bring this over. Oop. Bring that up more. Yeah. Now, if you look at it that way, all these things here are visual things that are distracting in your image.
Hmm.
Isn't this a really neat way of looking? I don't want to get
It's
rid of that.
amazing. I love it.
Wow.
The solar thing is definitely new to me. I had only ever done what is it? High dynamic range. So you can
Right.
tell if things are blown out, but this is just
Mind
takes it
boggling.
to another level. It's amazing.
You start going back and forth, and you get closer, and you start seeing things that you never saw before.
Yeah.
And it really bothers me. These here, it's not too much. Take those out. That's not necessary.
Yep. Yep.
Then it's a
Yes.
nice, smooth, peaceful. See, not now. Now I can't unsee those.
Right.
Yep.
And you need to take a little bit more, put a little bit more warmness, a little bit here, and then next thing I would do, I would if it was mine, I would go Control Shift N. Then go to a soft light, add a 50% gradient, then go to my brush and go to the on color, you want to be on normal. E1. Oop. Brush is working, but you want to be down like 10%, 13. Darken a little bit here. I'm going to darken. Well, I'm doing this on a separate panel. With 50% gray, then using your brush with just black and white. Black would darken, light, and start playing and darkening and lighting different things, and switch to light, and just going through and just playing with it, and seeing how different dimensions I can come up with. Because then, why I like this technique, I can go. I always take it off, then go back, and no matter what I do, I never go back to 100%. I go, oh, it looks better, not done so much. Where if you just do burning and dodging, you can't correct it. Here makes it easy. And if you want more, you can just Control J, make another layer, Control J, and you can add what you did and intensify it. And you start to see clouds come up here. It's kind of nice. Yeah, so that sky's gonna go. I'll put another whole sky in there because it goes light to dark too much. In nature, you never see white like this in your sky, so you don't want to see it now. And yeah,
Thanks. That's awesome.
so that yeah. So I even like that down like that works good. So there's a few things for you there, all right?
Absolutely.
Things like this. This is a tough one to work on because it's just so it's a visual, complicated image to start with. But in reality, I have a lot of those,
Yeah.
and it's sometimes it's trying to get something out of that. Here is a good one as far as composition. This was a really small file. I don't know who sent this, but it was 144. I'm not sure if I can make it too much bigger without destroying it. You see how that works without, see if it doesn't pixelate too much. And it's all right. But here, I think we'll make a good example. Add on there. You can download a dynamic symmetry grid like this if you want to. And again, if you can't find it or you have a problem finding it, email me and I can just send you a small JPEG or small Photoshop file, so I can just send one. I can't send 10 of them, but just an easy type of thing. Okay, let's look at this. They're in center nice, but let me take this here out this way here. So I want this line at the edge of that building. And this line here. Right at the edge of the building, yeah. Then coming in, it cuts in too much. By coming out, it makes this line to the edge of that building. So I want more. I want this line on the edge of this building, I think. Yes, right there. I think now these lines bring that back on that building and that back on that building. Yes. I can't cut into her. Dress too much. Like that. There. That was before and after. I think this is too constricting and um holds them in. Here gives a little bit more space. I like that. I like that feeling better. And I think the lines fall in better that way by using that technique. On this one here, it was a really small file, and there's a lot of little funky things here. I can't show too much. To me, the leg looks awkward here, and the dress, I want to smooth it around. And all these spots would want to be taken care of. You don't even need a, but the file was sent in real small. I'm not sure if it was a phone or whatever, but the skyscrapers are really dynamic. And I think the whole storytelling and the whole thing centered like that works out really well. It just needs to be cleaned up and made technically a better image that way. All right. Are you still there? Everybody here?
Hello? Yeah.
Okay, now which one? Anything else next or?
Any requests? If you don't want to know, Ken, to know that you're the artist, you can text me if you have a request. Or message me privately here.
Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna take these and do anything with them, and I'm not really.
Yeah. Oh my.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about on a whole different level now, some different things about an image. I'm just gonna crop it without.
Mhm.
I like this a lot. This is like the Hollywood style type of lighting with the light coming down. Uh, really nice lighting, beautiful subject. The dynamics of that lighting and the rays in the back are really nice storytelling. Everything is going really great for this image. This image was nice. Another one, the other girl looking down. I like to do these two quick before if we have time to do both.
Mhm.
Because I think both of them really have a lot of good things. Um, Now as your eye goes through this, center composition, all that, I think that's all fine. Um, we could pick different things about, maybe we should do that too, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, that's because we can.
Mhm.
And there's definitely things here we can address. I think this will reveal things right away. Although, um, yeah, I'm on the wrong. I'm sorry. I'm trying to go quick, and I should not do that. Because then you make
Mhm.
mistakes more than.
Mhm.
Calm down. Just do your job. Right.
Mhm.
So what this reveals to me is that the line goes right through her, right between the nose and the mouth. A terrible line place for this line to be. So I would right away, I would bring this right up to like her eyes.
Okay.
And
Mm.
here and up there, like my thing. Obviously, when I do this technique to increase it, it's going to bend the rays, which we don't want to do that. But for
Right.
time wise, this is,
That's absolutely. Yep.
you know, by having more space above her because she's looking up,
Mm.
I think it adds it more. I think I went a little bit too far. I'm sorry. Need to double check my thinking here. Oh, no, that's right. You come up here. You can come off a little bit. Yeah, so what the dynamic symmetry is telling me that and the computer's telling me that I'm stupid and hitting the wrong buttons. You got a ding. Yeah. It just tells me that without it, it's centered right here, but with it, it adds a certain dimension because everything, her hand's going up, everything's going up.
Mm.
It has a better balance of positive and negative space. It works better with the added space above it. To my opinion, and according to the dynamic symmetry lines, and as I see that, I believe that that is the case. And I like it better that way. And really quickly, the curves adjustment. We'll skip all the other stuff. We go right like there. Yeah. Looking at. Okay. This here area bothers me here, so let's look at what it does. Yeah, see how the shadows from the hands? There's a spot right here.
Yeah.
It'd be I messed up there.
Yeah, good.
You get the idea.
We get the idea. Yeah.
Going too fast. All right, well, with it, without it, with it, okay. And here, I'll probably darken the shadows in here, darken the shadow into here. One thing I
you're-
noticed, the bracelet is
you're-
very, very tack sharp. Just starts right here. Everything else is a little bit softer.
Yeah.
I would soften this and sharpen the rest a little bit. Because
Okay.
by having this sharper makes this even look even more softer. And you
Sure.
don't want this to be
Yeah.
soft at all, especially this type of lighting, this type of thing. And I would,
Okay.
but the main thing here, the solar curve shows these things here are so distracting. I would take those right out.
Okay.
The highlights and eyes, I would move up higher too. For highlights and eyes, what I would like to do. Come on, I would just I would just add an empty layer.
Yeah.
And first of all, what I would do with the brush, let me just
Take them out.
take these out. And of course,
There you go.
but yeah, take them out. Yeah, then go into the layer here. I want this a little bit smaller. Just go to X for white. And I think up here is going to be better. But by doing it in a layer like this, now I can just go to the move tool and I can move them around without have to redo it. You probably already know this, but and also that like I move them right about like that. Then I can take the opacity down, and if they're too bright, I can take them all down and bring them up to where I want them to match them in there. See, 100%. I think it's too much. I'm gonna bring it down just like right about like that. Good. All right. So that's that. That's what I had. And that's what I have. There's a little bit of difference.
Yep.
All right. Also, I'll work with I'll put a highlight on the lips and all that type of stuff on there. So with the other tool, I put some more highlights in the hair and put a highlight in the lip in here. lighten these two lines up, darken in the middle. The one wrist looks a whole much bigger, make this wrist a little bit smaller and maybe move it over a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's because you're working with symmetry, so you want more to be more symmetrical. Any
Mhm.
questions on this one? We
That's
beat
good.
that up enough?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Plenty
Now
to
let's-
work on.
Let's this one here was, I thought was really a fascinating. This is one of my favorite photographs. Absolutely fascinating. Right here, look at that. All right, now. I love this, and I play with it. I turn it around so it goes out the way. Everything, looking down at it, the symmetry, the dynamics of it, the impact of it is absolutely fascinating. I really like this a lot, and I think it has a lot of potential. The only thing is, my job is today is to make it better,
Mm.
and sometimes images are hard to make better because they're so good, and this might be one of them. However, that's never the case. Look how nice the eyelash and everything looks really, really good. I'm not even gonna go to composition, although you might want to do that yourself. There might be a couple of things you could tweak there. I think it would be. I think a little bit more narrow would be better, but let's first, sake of time, go on to uh, the solar curve. Okay. What did I do? Yeah, so it's telling me, first of all, see, it's muddy. I'm gonna bring it down more.
Mm.
I would do that to make the black blacker, give it a little more snap to it. And I think what you're gonna see here right away, this is one of those things that
Mhm. Oh,
okay, you can see it right here, the banding.
mm.
Look how that came right out.
Yeah.
And also now when I look at it,
Wow.
look at it this
Mm.
way, the face looks very narrow here, very wide here, which everybody has a face wider on one side than another side. But
Yeah.
in this particular image, because of the design of it, it says it's centered, so it is in a division of eighths. So symmetry is an
Oh.
important power, a part of the power of that. So I
Mm.
would want to work on that. Okay, let's take that. First of all, you have to deal with the banding.
Yeah, I see it now.
Yep, now
Wow.
you see it even without it, right?
Yeah. Jesus.
And it's only at 50%. It's not even at 100.
Yeah.
But just for ha-has, okay, I have
Wow.
another layer here. I'm going to just take this much to the face. Then I'm going to go Control Shift X. I just make this part of the face so it's easier. And looking at it here, this is kind of a tricky thing to do,
Yeah.
but
Oh, there you go. That's probably easier than, yeah.
let's bring the face out just a bit like that. We'll bring the chin down, maybe. Oop, what? Nope, didn't do that. I don't like that. Bring this here. That lips comes up here just a bit. And make the nose a little bit more less dominant in the nose, a little bit more cheek. Okay. There's a couple things really quick there. Of course, we spend all hours on it, but okay. But here's before and after.
Oh,
Look at that.
oh, God, yeah, yeah, look at that. Oh,
Look at that.
God.
you know?
Yeah,
And if you come back onto it,
uh,
now that looks like she's gonna
oh, my,
make a turn, just by adding that little bit here.
yeah,
The solar
Mm.
curves saw that dimension
Yeah.
side of it that I didn't
Yeah.
see before. Now I can make that correction and make
Yeah.
that face so that now it is even more symmetrical. So that division of eights and
Yeah.
that whenever you do something that is centered, you want to make sure it is symmetrical and adds more power to go with that. There's nothing wrong with being centered. It doesn't everything has to be to the thirds. It can have a lot of power this way.
Sure.
I want to give it as much power as I possibly can.
Yep.
All
Wow.
right. So
Yeah,
that
very good. Yeah,
and taking this in this case you might have to recut this out and put another one in.
I'm gonna say I'm not even sure why it's um, graded there.
I think
Uh,
although
it's-
yeah,
I
I would
think
try it both ways. I would put another gradient in there and do
a
it
gradient. Yeah.
different ways. I like the difference in here, brings it out.
Okay.
It adds a little dimension, a little bit depth there.
Okay.
But certainly you can't have it that way
No.
with, you know, um, and sometimes you put a gradient in it, and when you reduce the gradient, you start with white and reduce it down. That's
Mm.
what you're talking about before. It's at a lower percentages, so it tends to mess up easier. So make your gradient rather than starting off with white, start it off with gray, so that you're not reducing it so much. If you reduce
Yeah.
anything more than
Make it change.
40%,
Yeah.
you're going to end up getting banding.
Gotcha. Yep.
But if you do it in gray to start with, and just only change it a slight toning,
Yeah.
the toning a slight amount, you have a less. Then your next thing you do, you put a texture on it if you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I could try that too.
And that works out well too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks.
We're running out of time, but I'm certainly welcome to, if anybody else wants to do another one or anything else here, there's a couple other really nice ones here. Uh, on the hold your own thing, all of these were these are all great shots that would enter most in the raw category or the
Yeah.
reportage type of category.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because visually now, what we talked about color, they're all it's a carnival mood.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think that if I was to enter it, I would go black and white.
Yeah.
And because either like the exit signs, stuff like all this stuff bothers me. If it was mine, if you can't do the retushing because of reportage or a raw file,
Right.
then my thing is you're in the wrong position because this girl here is half cut off. This one here is in a focal point.
Yeah.
You want this girl over here in front of her, So,
Oh, yeah.
but if you want to take it and work on it and retouch it, I would remove the whole background.
Yeah.
All the stuff is distracting. And
Right.
maybe go black and white because or make all the colors so it's either black or green. So you have an isolation of color. You can't have a green here, then
Yeah.
an orangey thing and gold thing here and blues in the windows, you know. So it's just visually confusing.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions or anything else or talk to me?
Can you check out the dance?
What's that?
The dance, can you review the dance?
Sure can.
Yeah.
Also, the one of the ice too, the ice storm. Talk about that one quick too if you want. Okay. Yeah, as we know, we're going to put the dynamic symmetry grid on it first and analyze where the lines are falling in. Where do we want our eye to go? And the arm is a really nice line there. Let's come over and keep that line, that arm there and that line there.
Mm.
And his arm and the head right in that little thing there. Let's check that out. This is quicker, I think. Okay, now there is one possibility right there. That puts her in the center and the motion. Flip it that way.
Mm.
Again, my eye comes into her here. Do we usually read? Not because we read right, left to right, because our brain, when it goes this direction, is more calming. Okay. Where do we want to put it? Curvature just makes you see right away that um, there's a lot of black.
Mm.
So if you just lighten that up a little bit, it's better right there. Shows more detail. You want to be able to see detail in the black and detail in the highlights. And this, you could do separate layers and just do the black on one layer and then go to the highlights and do that. That's going to take some time. We're just going to do it this way here for now. Come up by here. Get two up, two down. One thing I find when we do this, it takes away the personality of the person. So you're not looking at it as a person so much. You're looking at it more as um, circles and triangles, squares and lines. Um, it's so easy. If it's a person you know or just a pretty girl, you can get sucked into her personality and go, wow, how beautiful, how beautiful. By having the solar curve onto it, it takes that away from it. So now you're looking at it more objectively, I think. You're not looking at it as a person anymore. You're looking at it more as graphically lines. Um, and you can analyze different things that way and seeing what works, what doesn't. Uh, And as we can see here, there's a lot of stuff in the background. All these things are distracting and it's all part of the background here, but I'm not sure that smoky thing is working for us.
Mm.
And certainly as we come in closer on the legs and we look at it, there's a lot of spotchiness. See this right in the armpit? this is, obviously she has an armpit, but, and how the line comes here, and there's a lot of things that I think on the nose. It's a split profile, so that's going to be a problem because his cheek is always going to be a highlight there. One eye hidden, one eye there. The neck looks huge with this type of lighting because the light breaks it to here. We can bring the neck down. This line is so straight, it's, I see a little bit more curve into it, maybe, I don't know. But I like the way this comes in, that comes in. One thing I might consider doing here is making her taller.
She's pretty tall.
Huh?
She was pretty tall. She was like 5'7", I think. She was pretty, maybe, I don't know. Wayne, you photographed her before, right?
Maybe, I don't, well, it's hard, maybe.
Lindsay Jenkins.
Lindsay Jenkins, maybe.
One of the Studio 3 dancers.
Well, if she's with Studio 3, I have photographed her.
All righty. Of course, it's not working. Anyway, I wanted a little bit more space down there, but I can just do it without it. Oh, I see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thought about,
Well.
Hmm.
So all I did, I just lengthened her leg a little bit because I thought it looked a little bit, by making it a little bit taller, I think there's a
Yeah.
little bit more elegance and have a longer leg, so they look more. Because from the angle that was shooting down a little bit, before shortening her leg a little bit, so.
Well, I almost think you're on the, I bet you're on the floor or on, are you on the floor photographing this?
I was sitting on a stool. I don't think I
Right,
was on the floor. I was sitting on a stool, yeah.
Right, so you're at or below her waist.
Anyway, all
And
right.
so the lengthening of her leg looks correct to me. Yeah, it doesn't. Ken was right. It looked a little, because he showed you before and after. It looks a little stubby when you think about it originally. But just for some reason, I can't. Who knows why? But
It doesn't. Yeah, sometimes there is no reason.
yeah, exactly. It's just that it looks better longer, taller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, I
that way, and a little bit longer leg. There's more elegance to her. That's all.
Yeah.
It's a balance type of thing, and
Yeah.
and it only took
Cool.
a second to add that to her. That wow.
Yep.
And a lot of times, the little things in the images just makes them a little bit bigger and makes no sense at all. And the bottom line is, what looks better.
Well, it looks believable. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And sometimes you have to change things to make them look normal because the physics of a camera and the lens changes things. We change it from 3-dimension to 2-dimension, and you compress things. Here it compresses things and makes it look different. So our job is to make it look normal again. All right. Do one
Thank
other
you.
thing. I said there's one other. Let's see where. what did I say that one? This image, I could go on forever some of these, but this, I go, wow. But first of all, the first thing on a curves adjustment, you will see that this is way over, so you want to come over and make it white. Because this is just so muddy looking. It's snow, but it's a gray snow.
Mhm.
Then to me, I had a hard time. I go, what the hell was it? I thought it was a tip up or something. But then I zoomed in, I realized it was a person fishing. So in this case, you have to have your subject noticeable right away. It's like finding Waldo. You don't know what you're looking at. As a image maker, you have to think that all judges are stupid, and you have to make it easy for them to see what it is and understand what you're trying to tell them. Well, all this, the lines through here and all this here is going to be a problem, and all these lines in here are going to be a problem. So all this tip up, all this junk, you know, you want you want it more black and more white. So there's a lot of things going with that one that right away has to be corrected right away. See, what else we have here? One of them here, other two I was working on looked really neat. Yeah. Doesn't here another one is the head is so centered. This is a real small file. Is your eye comes around here. Let's bring this up here. Yeah, because here, all the lines come to the hand, and the hand is huge. So I want it to come up to the elegance of this, the look and the feeling, the thoughts to ponder. I don't want to think about it. I want to take the hand out of it. So I want this line to come up here and this line to come up here and do something like that. Do I want it that way? Or, yes, look at that. Had that line come over to her face and onto the arm right to the eye. And it's no longer center, but let's take a look at that, what that does for us. Just for ha-has. It might be terrible, it might be disastrous, but let's take a look anyway. Good, now look at that. To me, it gives more of the feeling of the pondering. And now she's off to the side. It brings me into this feeling right here. And this is what the picture is all about. And the texture, the whole setting of everything, the old and chairs and this, like, is all fascinating. The style of the dress. And we have all that stuff going for us. So we want to keep it going with that. Okay. Let me get rid of this baby here. And go. Let's do the solar curves here. Yeah. It's a little bit lighter here. You want to make a little bit. Okay. and sub-subjects. You do a solar curve, you might want to come back and do another one with some different things on to reveal different information. Okay. Okay, what I'm seeing right now, look at this line right through here.
Hmm.
See that line? Look at that. And then here, look at this. Brings my eye right into there. The background has a lot of funky things going with it here.
Mhm.
Now, we look at it, you can see it, look at how
Oh.
the background is sharp here, then it's
Yeah.
soft here. It's sharp here, soft there. Soft here, sharp there, and that's sharp here. Then the softness here, sharp there. And see how that brought that right out. The softness does one thing, but that line on the face. Yeah, I want to go right in there and get rid of that line. And this hand, and I would maybe consider reducing the size of the hand. Bring it in a little bit, just so it's not so dominant. The title has nothing that says like, you know, I'm feeling, I don't know, have the hand part of the story. It's not. The story is thought to ponder. So the hand is telling a big story here that has nothing to do with it. So certainly, I would. So we can probably do that real quick. I can just. Can I select it? This is not the right way of doing it, obviously, but it's. Oh. All righty. Isolated. Can't get it there. Got the hand. I was on the wrong layer. I'm sorry. Okay. I got the hand isolated. I'm gonna go image adjustment, bright. I'm gonna darken the hand down. See, even this is a bad way of doing it. But if right there, look at that. I'm gonna click here's the hand up, down. See, it's better darkened.
Mm.
It's just too much. A straight line. The face is fighting with the face. The hand actually should be over here more, so it's on this line. But since it's there, I would darken it down a little bit like that. Of course, not using that technique because that will bite you later. But I just did it quickly to show the effect of it. Then just take see if I took it down to 0 and just brought it up just a little bit like that. That's not too bad like that even. All right. Alrighty. Okay. Anything else?
This has been great. Thank you so much.
All right. Good. And it's been a long time now. I think I beat you up enough, and you probably heard enough. Why don't you think about it? If they'll come up, send me an image, and we can do a one-on-one Zoom, or I can just talk to you about it, or send me the image. I can look at it. Give me your phone number. I can call you sometime. We can talk about it if you want. Whatever, I'm willing to do that for you if you want.
That's so
Perfect.
kind.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
All righty.
That'd
Thank
be
you so
wonderful.
much.
Well, thank you for your time. This is wonderful.
Good. Hopefully I added some dimension and some thoughts, and
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Hi, Kelly. See you there.
Hi, thank you for all your thoughts today.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks. Okay.
Good day.
All righty. Well, then, thank you so much, and you all have good luck at your image competition coming up.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Take care.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah.